Be sure to subscribe and click on the bell for notifications on future uploads. Hello everyone, Someone Bard here, or you can call me Sully. It's Earth Day today, and naturally, no pun intended, I'm looking into the movies about nature and or protecting the environment. And so I'm reviewing two from Disney for their 100th anniversary. Of course, they have plenty to go over with their documentaries from Disney Nature and True Life Adventures, but I decided to do their animated films that are about nature, but are more about the life of one deer, who is right here with his friend. The first one, released on August 14th, 1942, is Disney's fifth animated classic, not counting The Reluctant Dragon since that's technically live action, Bambi. Director David Hand has made a nice animated movie based on the book by Felix Salten, with nice characters, a simple story, beautiful animation, yet meh-ish songs. I say that because while the songs are only played in the background, as none of the characters are singing, they range from alright to forgettable. I like Little April Showers and a bit of Love Is a Song, but some lyrics aren't memorable and they tend to pass by without notice. The story is basically a slice-of-life narrative with forest animals. Bambi, the young prince, is born and all the forest comes to see him. And as years pass, all the animals greet him as young prince or Bambi by his mother and rabbit friend Thumper. And so Bambi lives a life with his mother until, well, we'll get to that later, for all seasons, and in his adult life too, and coming across others such as a skunk Bambi named Flower, a female fawn named Feline, and a stag named the Great Prince, who will later be revealed to be Bambi's father. The look of the film is beautiful, showing all the seasons and the wonders they offer. I even like some of the details in the animations, like when lightning strikes, the ears of the rabbits are a bit translucent. Same thing with the leaves. And when Feline kisses Bambi when they're adults, the background shows what looks like clouds, but is still the forest in cloud form, which looks clever. And the transition back is a nice touch. There's cute moments to be had, some nice bits of humor I like and would snicker or chuckle at. And while I like these characters, Friend Owl is perhaps my favorite, for making me laugh, especially when trying to stop the birds from singing and failing at it. Maybe tied with Feline for being a cute doe. But I don't see this as one of Disney's best films, as I have my issues with it, though they're mostly nitpicks. One thing is with the skunk named Flower. That is, Flower isn't his name, as that's what Bambi confusingly calls him when learning new things from Thumper. But the skunk just accepts it and it stays. So whatever name Flower was before meeting Bambi is anybody's guess. Yet the most unintentional laugh or chuckle I got was when Bambi, Thumper, and Flower grew up. Bambi definitely has changed. Thumper is kind of the same design but with whiskers. Yet Flower, I don't think he even changed one bit since he's last seen. It was at this point of seeing adult Flower that I kind of laughed, as the only difference from the younger Flower is his voice. And yet he has no physical change. Plus Bambi goes wall-eyed for one frame, and the moments of him crossing his legs kinda put me off a bit, as it looks almost painful. And I think it's time to go over the biggest moment of the film, and one that I might get some flack for. During the scene where Bambi and his mother eat freshly grown grass in winter, the mother senses danger in the meadow of the unseen presence named Man, and urges Bambi to run back to the thicket as she follows. But when Bambi returns, he goes searching for his mother in the forest, and meets the Great Prince, his father, who tells him that his mother is no longer around. Now, this was something that was shocking to me, being that I felt an adrenaline rush when Bambi's mother calls her son to run faster as the music escalates, and with no body of her being shown and the sound of a shotgun off-screen. That in the end, I didn't cry at it, both as an adult and as a kid. And why is that? Well, I think it's because there's not much time between his characters for me to be invested in. And once it happened, the mother's never mentioned again, and the time between seasons isn't enough to let it sink in. Ironic considering later, in The Land Before Time and The Lion King, with Littlefoot and Simba, they left more of an impression with me, as their parents' bodies aren't just shown, but they have more connections in life and after death, with both characters feeling left out and using their parents, in spirit, so to speak, to help guide them in the right direction. Sure, this one's on a realistic level, but I kind of felt nothing when Bambi's mom died. Not to say it's bad or anything like that, it's just that others did a better variation of it, and let it continue to the end instead of just stopping once it's mentioned. That and other animals share the same fate as Bambi's mom, and they don't get mentioned as much. But other than that, overall, the film is a fine one. It's not a film I often think about when mentioning Disney, and sometimes it's slow and felt slightly boring to me, but it has its significance even if I don't see why. There's plenty of cute moments, a couple of neat songs, fine humor and characters, and nice-looking animation. I might be a minority on this film, especially with the big death scene, which is a first for Disney and became a trend with them and other studios, but I don't hate the film, nor do I love it. It's nice and fine for what it is and what it does. 2.5 plus Mickeys. But that's not the only one around, for there is also a sequel to the original that's nearly similar, but with a brighter look, more humor and dialogue, and a better narrative. Released on home video on January 26, 2006, it is Disney's direct-to-video sequel, Bambi II. Director Brian Pimentel has made a fine sequel to the 1942 original and inspired by the book by Felix Salten, with all-right characters, a decent story, lovely animation, and okay songs. But this isn't a direct sequel where it shows Bambi as an adult. It's mainly a midquel within the original story. Taking place after Bambi lost his mother, Bambi's father, the Great Prince, wants his son to be with a doe as he needs to look after the herd. Yet Friend Owl suggests the Great Prince would look after his son, but only until spring arrives. So it's all about Bambi growing up with his father and learning how to be a prince, as the Great Prince learns how to be a father. While also Bambi hangs out with his friend Thumper, who's trying to avoid hanging out with his sisters, and comes across Flower, Foline, and sometimes meets a bully deer named Rano. Once again, it's another simple story like the original, but where the first film goes from Bambi's birth to his adulthood, this one's more confined as it's just one part of life. Plus, Bambi's mother gets more mention in this film, which I like. And it has a similar art style, but with more character expressions, a more brighter look, and more fluid animation. The differences between the two movies are just as noticeable as the updated look. There's more dialogue than in the original, which I'm fine with, as well as more humor that I kind of laughed at more. Plus, there's more characters and more development going on. There's a groundhog who's too afraid of his shadow, a porcupine who hates others when crossing his log bridge. Flower gets more screen time, but he's usually a comic relief. And yes, he does spray his stench when trying to make a brave face with his friends. And there's Rano, a selfish bully who picks on Bambi and tries to impress Foline by talking about himself, which I kind of find funny. Plus, Rano would become known as the deer Bambi faces off when they're older, thanks to some instances of foreshadowing and having similar designs. And Foline's look here tells us that she recognized that bully deer. The songs are okay for this film, and other than one being sung by the characters for only a few seconds, the other songs, like This Is Life and The First Sign of Spring, are again played in the background, with two of them during the end credits. They have nice melodies and vocals, even if the words aren't memorable. And there's bits of the original film score in this, and instrumentals of Love Is a Song. Plus, there's some cute moments in this film too. Overall, other than a moment of sorrow in the climax that I felt was forced, this sequel is not bad. It followed the original well for its narrative and look, and offered more to enjoy with the humor, characters, and a more confined plot. I'd say it's better than the first film for all that I've mentioned, even though some of the original is memorable. There's nothing too shocking about it, but I found it to be nice, have a better pace, and not quite be as boring as the original. 2.5 plus or 3 Mickeys. And that is it. So thank you for joining me. Like, comment, subscribe. Follow on Facebook or Twitter. Support me on Patreon. Until next time for a new video. And thanks for your time.